than we do with Canada. Yeah.
Mr. President, can I ask you about your investments, Mr. President? When do you think the investments that you've announced, $1 trillion, will finally hit the economic data this year?
When you're saying about the tariffs?
No, about the investments that you've announced.
Oh, it's hitting right now. Look, they're already starting AI plants. These are not people that look for financing. That's a good thing. You know, in real estate, you get a site, then you have to look for financing, you have to get your zoning, 5 years later you start building, you get a bank, then the bank's no good. These people have a massive amounts of cash. The CHIPS Act was a ridiculous thing because that doesn't get them to build. All we did is hand very wealthy companies money. The CHIPS Act that was done by Biden. Billions, we give them billions of dollars. They don't even have to do anything with it. And then if you weren't, if you didn't have, and I don't want to be a wise guy, but if you didn't go with the DEI, if you didn't go with all of the different things woke, if you weren't woke, you couldn't even use the money. You had to have a certain percentage of this and that and that and that. It's impossible to have. The people, the companies actually complained to me. They said they gave me all this money, but nobody can get these people to do anything. I mean, look, President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster. And he said something to the effect, I only want DEI, I only want woke. He wants woke people to build it. Well, he got woke people and they have massive cost overruns. A job is stopped. I don't know, it's a disaster. And I don't like that happening because I think it's bad for the presidency that a thing like that should happen. He's got a library that's a disaster. And he wanted to be very politically correct, and he didn't use good, hard, tough, mean construction workers that I love, Marco. I love those construction workers. But he didn't want construction workers. He wanted people that never did it before, and he's got a disaster in his hands. Like millions of dollars, really many millions of dollars over budget. And I would love to help him with it, or somebody else. I could recommend professionals, but it was not built in a professional manner. By the way, nor was in California a little train going from San Francisco to Los Angeles that's being run by Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. Did you ever hear of Gavin Newsom? He has got, that train is the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. It's like totally out of control. So then they said, all right, we won't go into San Francisco. We'll stop 25 miles short. And we won't go into Los Angeles. We'll stop 25 miles short. It's hundreds of billions of dollars for this stupid project that should have never been built. And then they realized that it would have been a lot less costly if we just gave limousine service back and forth and gave it free. They would have saved hundreds of billions of dollars. They have airplanes that go there for one 1/100th the cost, and they have cars. They have a thing called the highway that goes back and forth. It's not fully utilized. And they got involved with this project. And Gavin, I always liked Gavin. I had a good relationship with him. I just got him a lot of water. I sent in people to open up that water because he refused to do it. And we just got them a lot of water. If they would have had that water, and if they would have done what I said to do, they wouldn't have the fires in Los Angeles. Those fires would have been put out very quickly. But if you think about it, and you got to take a look at this project, it's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen. I've watched a lot of stupid people build a lot of stupid things, but that's the worst cost overrun I've ever seen, what's happening between San Francisco and Los Angeles. And you ought to ask about that because this government is not going to pay. I told our very great new Secretary of Transportation, he's doing a good job, Sean Duffy, I said, we're not going to pay for that thing. They are just, it's out of control. This is something that, you don't have things like this. It's not even conceivable. Like 30 times over budget, 30 times. It's the craziest thing and now it's hundreds of, it was supposed to be a simple train. And I think the media should take a look at it. And I'd love him to run for president on the other side. I'd love to see that. But I don't think he's going to be running because that one project alone, well, that and the fires and a lot of other things pretty much put him out of the league. We're going to work on some subtle changes, maybe. I don't even know if we're going to be dealing with USMCA. We're dealing more with concepts right now. Look, right now, we're doing trade. We have trade. They're paying a tariff on cars and steel and aluminum. And I think we have a baseline of 10% or something like that for the tariffs. But we're getting along very well. Right now, going no further, but we have an agreement. We did something with even parts. You want to discuss that, Howard? With respect to Canada, which helps Canada.
We've made an arrangement with the car companies that 15% of their USMCA parts are included, and then 15% of foreign parts from the manufactured suggested retail price are not tariffed to help domestic manufacturing really thrive.
So we gave them a chance to be able to build their car parts factories if they're going to. A lot of these companies already have factories, and what they have to do is just fill them out. But they're able to build them in the United States, so we gave them a pretty substantial period of time.
Is there anything the Prime Minister can say to you today to change your mind on tariffing Canada?
Tariffing cars?
Tariffing Canada. Is there anything he could say to you in the course of your meetings with him today that would get you to lift tariffs on Canada?
No.
Why not?
Just the way it is.
What do you if Canadians don't want it, would you respect that?
Sure, I would. But this is not necessarily a one-day deal. This is over a period of time they have to make that decision. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, if I may.
When you consider what Mr. Carney just said, that Canada is not for sale, does this make the discussion a little more difficult to start on?
No.
Secondly,
No.
we are the largest
time
client of the United States.
Time will tell. It's only time.
In the
But I
totality
say-
of all the goods. So we are the largest client.
Never say never.
We have a tremendous auto sector between the two of us, and the changes that made have been helpful. 50% of a car that comes from Canada is American. That's not like anywhere else. And to your question about is there one thing? No, this is a bigger discussion. There are
Well, I
lots of
still believe
forces
that,
involved.
but it takes
and-
two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut, and it's also beautiful. As a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation, very artistic person to build those cars, and we don't want steel from Canada because we're making our own steel, and we're having massive steel plants being built right now as we speak. We really don't want Canadian steel. We don't want Canadian aluminum and various other things because we want to be able to do it ourselves. And because of past thinking of people, we have a tremendous deficit with Canada. They have a surplus with us. And there's no reason for us to be subsidizing Canada. Canada is a place that will have to be able to take care of itself economically. I assume they can. I will tell you that Trudeau, when I spoke to him, I used to call him Governor Trudeau. I think that probably didn't help his election. But when I spoke to him, I said, so why are we taking your cars? Why are we taking we want to make them ourselves. I said, and if the price of your cars went up, or if we put a tariff on your cars of 25%, what would that mean to you? He said that would mean the end of Canada. He actually said that to me. And I said, that's a strange answer, but I understand his answer. But no, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. We protect Canada militarily, and we always will. We're not going to, that's not a money thing. But we always will. But, it's not fair. But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that. Thank you very much. We're going to have a very substantial. Thank you. Thank you very much.
بياخذونك بعد البترول وتبيز الحكة الماضي وتقرح في راس الماضي.
أنا مصنع سمنت عمرا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل على كل ظالم على من أراد دمار البلاد. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل، حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. من أراد دمار البلاد هذا لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله. دمروا مصنع سمنت عمرا، لا إله إلا الله. بس يا قهر قلبي، يا قهر